Alright guys, so now that we are at a point where we can generate our own subtitles and we can basically transcribe, create the captions and also get subtitle layers inside of Premiere Pro, it's time to learn not just how text works, but how to create a text style. So in this course, we're going to be diving into text styles. Now, as I mentioned before guys, text styles are a very visual thing. So they rely a lot on like adding effects and making them look good. And for that reason, when we really want to maximize our text style, we're going to be worrying about that in After Effects. But today I'm going to teach you guys how to create a basic text style and make things look really good, and how to use your text properties inside of Premiere Pro. So with this being said, let's dive right in. So I'm in my sequence over here as usual, and I've got my subtitles, the same old subtitles I created before. And to access all of our text settings, all we gotta do is select any subtitles and go to our properties layer. If you can't see your properties layer, go to window and click on properties and you are going to be able to see it. So I'm gonna go ahead and undock this so that you guys can see the full thing. And I'm gonna quickly just open it up so that you guys can just see a little more. So our properties layer, if you notice, just looks very similar to our text settings when you select a text and go up to effect controls. Because basically what we're changing right here is the text of the subtitles. And if I select the subtitle and start changing some things, you can see I can change the text. So it's the same exact text settings that we had before, but in this course, we're not going to be diving into just the text settings. We're also going to be talking about creating a text style and using subtitles. So what is a text style really made up of? Well, a text style, an entire text altogether, is made up of two parts. It's made of the style of the text, and it's also made up of the animations. We're not going to worry about the animations, so let's just worry about the style of the text. So what is this style of text? What is it made up of? It's made up of two different kinds of text, sometimes even more. A lot of times, the style of text in a video has what we call basic text, so text for the majority of the video, and then it has special text, so a special kind of text style for the special words that the viewer really needs to pay attention to. And the reason this works is because if the entire video is subtitled in a basic way, right, the viewer is just going to go over through the entire video and not remember anything. But if the entire video is subtitled in a basic way and you have a few words that are in a different text style, a special text style, then all of a sudden you have a very attractive video and the viewer focuses on what is being said. So that is exactly what we're going to be creating. We're going to be creating two things. We're going to be creating, number one, a basic text style, and number two, a special text style. And what both of these are made up of are basically a font, which is assigned to each of them. A basic text style is assigned a font, which is more modern and simple and minimal, whereas a special text style can either be an artistic font or it can be something bolder, something bigger, something more colorful, whatever it is. And then we're also going to be assigning colors to them. We're going to be assigning some basic effects like some drop shadow just to make it look better, and we're going to be creating some really basic text. So how do we create some basic text? Let's dive right in. So inside of my properties panel over here, let's go ahead and start taking care of some things. So everything looks pretty solid, but there are, first of all, we need to understand what our text settings are made up of. So the first thing over here we've got is the track style. So if you've got any text styles downloaded, you can basically select it here and then select it. And what this is going to do is if we select a text style here and apply it to the track style, it's going to apply that to the entire track and apply that to all of the text that's over here. So if you have a text style downloaded, which I'll show you guys how to export your text styles today, you are going to just select it over here. If not, let's go ahead and make one. The first thing you can change is things related to the text. So you've got your font size, your text settings, your text alignment. The second thing you're going to change is your alignment and your transform. So you can change the zone in which the text is located, its position, so on and so forth. And then you can change the appearance of the text. And those are the three things that you should care about. So let's dive right in. The first thing we got to dive into is the text. So we got to set up our own font and we have to set up our own text size. So the font size right now is okay. I want these subtitles to be a bit bigger, so I'm just going to make them slightly bigger like this. And I'm also going to align them to the center vertically, which means they're going to be down here and they're just going to be subtitled like so. I'm going to go ahead and change the text font to a font I like to use for my brand called Nexa. And you guys remember how you can download fonts. If you haven't seen it, you can check out the earlier course. But I'm going to go with Nexa, and Nexa has two options, either extra light or heavy. I'm just going to go with heavy for this video, and it's a nice and simple text style. And the second thing you'll notice is the sizing is pretty solid actually, and I don't want to go with something too big, okay? I don't want to go with something like 100. One big issue I commonly see editors do is they make their text way too big. So I want you to always keep in mind, if you think like this is good text, just make it smaller, okay? Just trust me and make it smaller. It's always going to look better. So I'm going to go with 75 because I want the text to be relatively small because it's going to be clean and minimal. So the first thing you have to understand is you have to decide what kind of text style do you want. Do you want an engaging text style for entertaining videos? Do you want to go with bold, loud colors, tons of effects, so on and so forth? Or do you want something minimal and artistic and cinematic, or something simple that people can read and just see a high quality video from? We're going to go with the simple approach, and we're just going to make a high quality video. So we're going to go with a small text at 75. The next thing you change is the variation between this. I think it's pretty good. Maybe we could just make it a slight bit smaller, but this looks pretty solid. And then the align variation, we're not going to be having double lines, so we aren't worried about it. So then, do we want to make this thing bold? Probably not. Do we want to make it italic? No. Do we want to make it full caps? Totally not. This looks pretty solid as it is. So now that we are done with our text, we have sized it correctly, and we chose the correct font, it's time to move it into our alignment. And now for our alignment, there's different zones inside of your video. Zones are exactly what this is. So if I click on the middle, it's going to be placed in the middle zone. Top is the top, left is the left side, right is the right. You can do bottom right, bottom left, whatever it is. This just basically makes it simpler. And if you guys don't like the zone which it is in, then you can literally just select the zone which you've placed it in, and then obviously it's going to change your alignment over here, and then literally just change it according to this position here. So this is your X value here, and then this is your Y value here. And so, as you guys notice, if I go below my Y value, because I've selected my bottom zone and center aligned it, I can't drop this any further. But if I align it to the bottom, now I can kind of go higher and place it wherever I want. Okay, so just make sure you always play around with your alignment. I always like to go center alignment, and the bottom third of my screen looks pretty solid. And this honestly just looks really good. I don't want to change the placement of text. This looks very solid. And with that being said, this just controls, I believe, the scale. No, this isn't too important, so don't even worry about that. And that is pretty much it for alignment, okay? So when it comes to alignment, just make sure that your text is not interfering with your character's face. They are not too close. You could place the text like here, for example. When it's on the chin, it's okay. But just ideally having it kind of in the bottom third, the lower third of the screen, that's kind of the best. So if I wanted to explain lower third and upper third, it's kind of just like dividing your screen into thirds. So I'll just quickly add some rulers just to show you guys. You guys don't have to do this, but I'm just quickly going to do this. We will teach you this in future course, but it's kind of like if you divided your screen into thirds like that, right? You've got the upper third, the middle third, and the lower third. Usually the characters in between the upper and the middle, and the lower third, which is over here, like we could place our text here. This is where it is, like, this is the area for subtitles, because most of your viewers' focus is on the upper and middle third over here with your character's face, especially in the middle third. So when you have the bottom third aligned for the text, it's usually just a lot better. Okay, so let's just go ahead and remove these just so that we can get back to the main thing. So now that we're done with the alignment, let's go ahead and move down to our appearance, and let's change a few things. So I like the color white. I think I'm going to go with the color white for the basic text. And then I'm not going to add a stroke, I'm not going to add a background. I'm going to add a drop shadow. This thing already has a drop shadow, but it's really, really harsh if you guys notice. It's very, very harsh. So for this, what we're going to be doing is we're just going to be leaving the same settings. I like the angle which it is on. I love the distance. I think I just need to add more blur. And if I add more blur, I just think it looks a lot better. So there's a few kind of like styles you could go with. This is one of them. I'll be showing you guys how to create a few different styles in just a second. But this is a pretty solid style for now, and I like the way that this is looking. So once I really like the number one, the alignment, number two, the size and font, and number three, the appearance of the text, I can then save it as a track style. So if I'm satisfied with this, and this looks pretty good, then I'm going to go over to track style. I'm going to click down on here, and I'm just going to click on the plus icon, and we're going to click on create style. When we click on create style, you can change the name of your style. I'm going to call this, for example, base text style. And this is going to create a file that contains all of the settings which we have created. You can either save it to your local styles, or you can save it to your project. And I'm just going to save it to my project. And when I click on OK, you guys can see you have base text style over here. And this is what a text style layer looks like. Sorry, text style file looks like. So this thing, if you're ever creating subtitles, and remember that place where we wanted to select the style of the text and we couldn't select anything, this is what you would select. So if you have this here, you can actually select this when creating subtitles, and it's going to make your subtitles like so. Now notice, if I change this to none, right? Okay, so it automatically applies to the rest of the video, but as soon as I add my text style here, my track style to this, then the rest of the video all takes the same exact style, so I don't have to change the rest of these subtitles. And all of this looks pretty awesome. Now with this being said, are we done? We are not finished. We are just getting started. As a matter of fact, when you get over to this point, you're going to run into some issues because now you can't really do much. You're kind of limited to everything that's in the properties, and you can't really change this as a effect control. So this is why we always advise when you want to add animations and when you want to start adding more and more effects to your text, like I can't add any effects to these layers. These layers don't accept effects, subtitle layers. All you gotta do is just select all of these, go over to graphic and subtitles, and click on upgrade caption to graphic. This is gonna upgrade your caption layers, which are your subtitle layers, to graphic layers. And when we do graphic layers, all of a sudden graphic layers, we can use the position and we can use everything. And all we gotta do if we wanna change these and we don't like them, is click on our tag tool and hover over it, and then just double click and change whichever one we want. So graphic layers are just so much better because you can apply effects to them, you can apply animations to them, you can basically create a whole bunch of things. One more thing I did want to show you guys, if we go back to our subtitle layers and I select this, if I click on my text, you're going to see this kind of blue box. This blue box is our text box, which is, as I showed you guys before, it's the limit by which you can write text in. Okay, so we're not going to need this kind of text box. We don't need to change it for this video, but if you're ever running into any issues, you can always feel free to extend this, just make it bigger. This way your text is a lot more comfortable. I'm just going to extend it horizontally and the rest is good. And we're going to select them and go ahead and change them to graphic layers. Once again, why do we change them to graphic layers? Because we can add effects and we can add animations. But with this being said, we have another text style to create, which is our special text style. And we also have one more thing to create, which is 3 other text styles for you guys to choose from, just 3 basic ones that are off the top of my head. So let's go ahead and hold down Alt and duplicate one of these over here. When we do this, we have the raw text like so. We're not going to do this, we're just going to change one of them. And so now if I double click on this, right, it's going to open up in the properties menu, or if I just open up my properties window here, if I just open up the properties window and I click on this thing, I'm not going to get these style changes which I want. And I think even if I select, if I select the text, then all of a sudden I'm going to get the style changes which I can do. So I can actually change the style of my video. So of my text. So with this being said, let's create our second text style. So the special text style is just going to be a special kind of thing. So all I'm thinking to make our special text style is we could literally just go with make sure we're selected. We could just go with like a light. Just make sure that we've got this selected. We could go with a thicker font or something that's bold. So we could just make this thing bold, and then we can literally change its color. That's like basically all that we need to do. We could change it to something like just make sure you have your text selected. Same issue. We could change it something like a bright red. We could change it to whichever color we want, honestly. But yeah, we could just change it to a color that fits with our brand. And for this, I'm just going to go with maybe a darker red. No, a light red for sure, or a light blue or whatever it is. I'm just going to go with the blue for now. But if we change the color of our text style, then all of a sudden it attracts a lot of viewers. And then if we also make it italic and bold, then it really is set apart. So this is a special text style, and if I put this under our regular text style, you can notice one of them is very special, right? One of them is regular and one of them is actually very, very special. And I think the blue really fits with our text, and the italic and bold really makes it stand out. So to make a text style stand out and be different, which is our second text style, to make that happen, you can either use bigger text, you can use different colored text, you can use bolder, more italic text, whatever it is, right? You can always use these kinds of properties. And I think for our special text style, we can just kind of leave that at this, and this looks pretty good. If you want to save this as your text style, all you got to do is head over to here, and you just, I believe it's over here, yeah. Here. Yeah, no, the properties panel changed a lot of things which were old, which were honestly simpler in old Premiere. Well, we could just go ahead and do that real quick. So it's really easy. All we gotta do is we can do it inside of Fairs. Yeah. So all we gotta do now is basically just click on the plus icon here, click on create style, and then just call this thing like special text style, like so. And there we go, that's a basic text style which you can create. As you guys can see in our project, we have base text style and special text style. One quick tip over here, I'm going to tell you guys a bit more about this in color theory. When it comes to text and colors in your visuals, only stick to 2 colors throughout the edit, okay? Don't choose like red, green, and purple, all these different colors. Only choose one. So if you want to go with white and green, just stick to white and green. If you want to go with white and yellow, just stick to white and yellow. And if you want to go white and blue, white and red, just stick with these. Just make sure you don't, change too much. Don't go white, red, and blue and yellow and all these different things. Just make sure you stick to 2 colors, and this is going to be your color palette for the entire video. So with this being said, I don't want this first thing to, this first text style to be our special text style. So I'm actually just going to be deleting this, and I'm going to just be duplicating this other subtitle here. right? Just make sure we size it correctly, like this. And I'm just gonna type out what I say, which is, this is a sample video. And there we go. Now we can just go ahead and drag them down and we have a bunch of text. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and select my special text and add a special text style to them. So with this being said, let's go ahead and do this. So sample video is a special word in this sentence. So what I'm thinking is I can select this and I can change its text style to the special text. Now if you guys notice, that's going to change the entire thing. So what do I do if I want to change a single word to a special text style? This is where I'm going to teach you guys a few cool tricks inside of Premiere. So you can select a certain section, and if you change the color, it's going to change only that section alone. So when it comes to creating your special text style inside of a certain sentence that already has text inside of it, and what I would do is I would just kind of recreate it. So you go here, add a different color for the fill, and then let's just make it bold and italic, and this is going to affect that text style. And there we go. So now you've got, this is a sample. Just make sure you have the A here. Let's go ahead and do this for the rest of it. Sample video, once again, I also do want to highlight this just to make sure it is highlighted. The special text can be applied to whatever you want. You can add this to whether it is, complex text styles, whether it is simple ones, whatever you want to stylize, you can add this to whatever you want. We'll just change the fill of this thing to a blue like so. Same thing over here. And then we'll just make this thing italic as always. There we go. And same thing over here, when I say few pauses, that's also a special text, so I'm going to change the color to blue. And as you guys can see, the main role of a special text style is to literally just select a few words inside of the sentence and just make them stand out. And you guys, if we keep doing this throughout the entire, notice again, I'm using the same colors and same text style. Consistency in the brand style is the most important thing. Okay, over here, there's not really special words. Like sometimes it's a special word, but it's not really very important. Important here is a special word. So I'm going to click on this and I'm just going to change its color to light blue. You could do this so much easier in After Effects, but it's okay. And then we're just going to make it italic and bold. There we go. And then other times probably going to say something absolutely useless. The word absolutely useless is very important, so we're going to select both of it and then just go ahead and change the color to blue and also make it more italic and bold. And if we go ahead and watch through this, just look at how much nicer this looks. This is a sample video. Sample video is where I speak and I take a few pauses. Sometimes I might even say important things like this. Other times I'm probably going to say something absolutely useless. And there we go, ladies and gentlemen. That is how you create some special text, and that is how you create your two text styles. So with this being said, you now understand the concepts of your text style. So I want you guys to now create two text styles for your own that you're comfortable with. Do not be extreme with the text effects, please. I told you guys this in the beginning of the course. Do not be extreme with your text effects. Your text effects should not be, like your drop shadow should not be very vivid and strong. You can see it's barely visible here, which looks nicer. Don't like make things that are very extreme and very huge. Just make things which are simple and just appealing and simple for the viewer to enjoy. And with that being said, let's go ahead and create 3 more text styles for you guys to kind of enjoy. So I'm going to quickly add this text over here, and I'm just going to quickly double click on this and just call this text style like that. And I'm going to duplicate this text a layer 3 times to show you guys 3 different text styles. I'm going to go ahead and place one under and place one under both of them. We have 3 text styles. This is our first one, which is the basic text with just a drop shadow. Here's our second one. So for our second one over here, I guess, yeah, there it is. It's hard to select them when your text box is big, so all you got to do is just make them invisible and select the one you want and then make them visible again. So for this one, what I would do is I would literally just use the exact same thing, but change a few things about the appearance. This is the stroke text style, so you can add a stroke like this and change the color of the stroke to a bright red. And when you do this, it creates this highlight around your text. And I know some of you guys might like this. This is a very gamey, kind of gamerish text style. It's very bright, it's very posh, it's very visible. You want to keep things light, so this isn't the ideal one I would go with, but if you guys want to go with it, that's totally okay. Whenever you want to change settings, just make sure that you select your text like so, because otherwise it's not going to affect it. But I would just add like a stroke of 2 like that, and that would just be enough. And then what else can you do? You can change this to different colors. So you could change this, since we're going with a blue color, you could change it to this kind of blue. And there we go. You have a text highlighted with blue. And the last text style that you can go with is the one with a background. By the way, for the stroke as well, you can actually like make the drop shadow a lot stronger. So for this, I would just kind of expand the drop shadow a little more, like so. And that would just make it a lot stronger. just to make it a lot more visible, which just looks a lot better for your text style. And then for your third text style over here, what I would do is I would just select it. I would add a background. So I would add a background like this, make it fully visible, expand it a little more. So you guys, you notice how this background is now big, right? Yeah, something like this would look good. And then I would just make it round. I want to make it round fully, like a circle, but I would still make it round to the point where it's at least just somewhat curvy, like this. And yeah, I could add a background like that, and then I would just change the color of the background. So I'd probably just change its color to something like a red or a bright. In this case, since we're going with a blue, we could go with a bright blue, like that. And you can see that looks pretty interesting. So these are 3 different textiles you guys can play around with until you find the one that you like. And these are 3 simple ones that you guys can create right now. One of them, you just add a background, make it round and change its color. And the other one, you literally just add a stroke. And since we're going with the blue color, all 3 of these work really good. And if you guys want to add these and save them as textiles, you just select them inside your properties panel, make sure you click, go all the way down, and then just click on create new style. And then you could just call this one like text style 1 or whatever you want to call it. And you could call this one, for example, the second one here, you could call this one text style 2. And then this last one in the end over here, we can just add, and we can just call it text style 3, like so. And there we go. You guys can also preview them down here, and you can see which one you like and apply it to your text styles. I'm just go ahead and delete them because I'm pretty happy with the way that this video turned out. And with this being said, guys, that is how you create a basic text style. Once again, we're just going over the basics because the good stuff is inside of After Effects, and we're mainly going to be focusing on text styles inside of After Effects, so you don't need to worry too much about it right now. But with this being said, this is how you create a very cool text style. Let's go ahead and see how we can take this text style to the next level with some animations and some visual effects. Let's dive into text animations in the next course, where we're going to be learning a few cool text animations that we can apply and that we can add to our text. I'll see you guys there.